Have you been waiting for Pulse to launch? Maybe you sacrificed last July and it's been a year. Or maybe you're waiting for Pulsex to launch because you missed out on Pulse and it's been 6 months since you donated your money to Pulsex. If you're in one of those parties, I have something super interesting to share with you. Wait, a new token that just launched where they have a mint phase and you can get free tokens, free ERC20s, right? This is launching on Ethereum. We're going to talk about that in this video. But first, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. Now, what is Wait, right? So I just read through their white paper, and it is interesting. They are doing something a little bit different than a sacrifice, and a little bit different than just a free claim, where with the wait, right, pun intended, that if you wait longer, you get more tokens. So how, like, if you think of like other protocols that launch, they'll have, we've seen ones where you get a number of tokens by waiting, right? If you get in early, you get more tokens. By waiting longer, you get less tokens. So we've seen that play out, right? And then we've also seen the arbitrary time limits that are set on these things, right? Where if I launch something, there's a time limit where people can actually claim these. So this thing is actually a little bit different, where it ends when Pulsex and Pulsechain launch. So you'll be able to claim up until when they launch. However, if you miss that date, then you lose your shit. But if you miss it, then you probably don't really give a shit about it anyway, because it sounds like a dump token anyway. But we're going to get into that, why it might actually not be something like Hedron, where you just dump that shit, right? Why would anybody hold it, right? Well, we're going to talk about that in here, because let's talk about the eligibility first. So there are, I can actually connect my wallet here and show you, there are 8 different sacrifices that would allow you to get this for free. Now let's check these things out. They have supposedly a read only, see address, account balance, activity, and suggest transactions to approve. Yes. Okay, cool. So we're connecting to this. Now, if you decided to donate for any one of these 8 projects, Pulse, Pulsex, Liquid Loans, Hurricash, Genius Token, Mintra, Fiat, or IMD, this is the Internet Money wallet that's coming out, right? If you decided to sacrifice for any one of these things, then you can actually get this free money. It is not currently listed anywhere that I could find. So if you do get it and you just want to get rid of it, doesn't look like there's any liquidity at this point. As time goes on, there should be more liquidity. But how it basically works is, if, say, you will use the Pulse sacrifice, right? Or actually, you can't even check the sacrifice. Let's say check database. We're going to click here. And I didn't use this wallet, right? This is insufficient funds. So I can't actually do this on here because this is just for fun wallet. But if you sacrifice one of these things, it checks you to see that you're in that data set, and then you get to mint. So you could technically, by waiting every day up until launch, right? Every single day, if you sacrifice for each and every single one of these projects, then you could get 192 additional tokens per day by waiting. Because every single hour, you get 1 additional token per project, and there's 8 projects, and there's 24 hours in a day. That means that you could get 192 additional tokens with each additional day. Now, Pulse may launch next year. So if you waited till next year, and you can get all of these, right? If there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things that you decided to donate to, then you could get these things. Now, you're like, okay, cool, free money is fun and stuff like that, but the security of my sacrifice address is far more important to me than this. I would agree with that. And what they have mentioned in here is that they're audited. They are supposedly going to be doxing the team behind this, so you can see who is involved. And there is one, according to this, there's one function that has an admin key. Now, this function is what allows them to end the mint phase. If you could program that in, like if you knew when Pulse was launching, you could just put that into the code, be like, on this date at midnight or whatever, it stops. So that's the one piece that they have available to that. Once they run that function, it does two things here. It stops people from being able to mint any more of these. So if you waited until the day after launch, you're SOL, right? You can't get any of these tokens. But if you wait and do it the day before they launch, then you're getting 100. If you assume you did sacrifice for all 8 projects, right? Then you'd be getting 192 additional tokens per day. Say if it was, let's say you did, 3 projects, right? So you've got 3 projects times 24 tokens per day, right? So you'd be getting 72 additional tokens per day, right? Because otherwise it's going to be 8 times 24 is 192. So 72 per day, basically. And you waited until that launch, whether that's 300 days from today or 400 days from today or in 4 months from today. We don't actually know. What we do know is the total launch supply, according to their white paper, is 881 million, right? So that's a large supply that are going to be distributed over less than 195,000 wallets. Why did I say less than 195,000 wallets? Because there is going to be most people who are not going to actually claim this. Most people are going to be unaware of this and scared of doing this, and they're not going to grasp the whole picture. So that could be an advantage for people who do wait till closer to the end. Now, if you do claim, what that does is it gives you 1 wait token, right, per hour, right? And so if you come back up to here, this tells you when they started accruing. So say for Pulsex, February 23rd, 2022. So that was the last day there if you sacrificed. From that day forward, every day, if you just did this one project, you get 24 tokens from this project per day, right? So I sacrificed for Pulsex, I could go in there and start claiming tokens for that, right? If I did it for these other ones too, then I could do the same thing. It would be 24 per day times, say, 5 projects or something like that. Now, where were we? Here we go. Okay. Now, there's 900 million of these tokens. We know that the number of people who are going to claim these is going to be way fucking less than 200,000 wallets, right? All of these, the wallets in these totaled about 200,000. The amount of people who are going to actually claim this is probably going to be a fraction of that, very, very small amount. Very, very small amount. Probably less than 25%. If I had to guess, like 50,000 people, 50,000 wallets, not 1,000 people, but 50,000 wallets would actually claim this. So that means that there'd be about 3/4 of these or less, right? Like there might be like 5% or 10% that actually claim these. They do put an interesting statistic in here that says people who had Bitcoin addresses that could have claimed Hex, there was only 3% of addresses that claimed Hex. I think the number could be potentially higher than that, just because I feel like there's a lot more education and awareness today than there was then. But maybe it's 7% of people actually claim, right? So that means that of this total, 195,000, if 7% claimed, 14,000 addresses would have claimed. So what does this mean? Well, this means that this number here you'll be able to get your, 1 per hour per project per day, as we talked about. And whenever you claim that, then it stops for you. But say you did 3 of these projects and it's on average been 100 days, right? So 3 projects times, let's say it's been like somebody who's more, let's say 5 projects. 5 projects times 24 hours per day. You're going to be getting 120 tokens per day, and you've been doing this for the total average of collectibles is 110 days. So then you'd collect 13,000 tokens, right? You're like, oh, hey, cool, 13,000 tokens, right? We're going to talk about, like, is this going to be a dump token in a second, right? So you get 13,000 tokens, but what you also get is 1 share for every token you get. So you get 13,000 of these weight tokens, but then you get 1 share, or 13,000 shares as well. What are the shares, right? It's a good question. Well, the shares are all those fuckers who did not claim, which there's going to be a boatload. There is going to be a boatload of people who do not claim. Well, those extra that were never claimed, when the guys behind this project launch and they do that function, right, that ends the minting phase, and then they do something that's a bonus. Remember how I said there's 2 things? One is ending the mint phase and closing the contract so that it can't be touched anymore. And the second is distributing the rest of the tokens that were not claimed. So if the pool, right, and there's going to be 8 different pools. So you have a pool for each one of these. And if you did, say, Pulsex, Liquid Loans, and Hurricash, and you're in those 4 pools, and you got 13,000 tokens, or 4,000 per, I wouldn't be like that because of the time thing, but whatever it comes out in those pools, you're going to have a spot in each one of those where these tokens are going to be distributed. So you're going to get additional tokens when Pulse launches. Now, you're like, okay, cool, that's awesome. It's still going to be just, there's no utility to this thing. Why would anybody hold this, right? Cool. Yes, we're going to get into that in just a moment. But also, it is going to be on Pulse, right? So this is an ERC20. It's already launched as of July 5th. Today's July 7th, right? So thumbs up for breaking fucking news. And make sure you press the subscribe button as well. Check out shit on Twitter as well. Okay, so just fucking launched, right? July 5th, 2022. Today's July 7th. Now, when this happens, you get the extra supply that was on Ethereum is distributed among the people who did claim. The people behind the project are taking 50% of that, right? So say, for example, 25% of this supply is claimed, right? So say we have 900 million times 0.25. So there's 225 million tokens that are claimed, right? Well, the remainder of this, which say it's like 700 or 675 million, right? And that's going to be distributed over these wallets. But they're going to take 50% of that, right? So 337 million is going to be distributed over the claimed wallets as additional money. But they're also going to get the copy on Pulsechain, which a lot of people are not actually paying attention to. So this is just more data on this. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But now, why would anybody hold this, right? Because we went through what it is. There's no utility to this thing, right? They're just trying to give people like an incentive to, get free money, and maybe potentially a few people will pay closer attention to Pulse of when they're launched to try to like do this the day before launch in terms of claiming their weight token, right? But they do mention in here that after launch, they will not be getting any more development. They will not do any more development with this weight token. So yes, potentially a dump token, right? But then they have something here. What is this? This is like a little design. You're like, okay, cool, right? Continue reading. But this is, you know, you would think of this as an Easter egg. At least that's the perception in my mind, as an Easter egg. What is an Easter egg? Let's look up Urban Dictionary. Urban Dictionary and Easter egg. Because this is probably going to be able to explain it. A hidden item placed in a movie, television show, or otherwise visual media for close watchers. So the people, the thing, and we have no fucking idea, right? Because they tell us that there's not going to be any more development, right? After Pulse launches and the midnight bonuses, which is the bonus I just described, are distributed, Wait will not have any future development at all, right? We have seen multiple examples this year of tradable tokens developing additional utility that was not apparent at launch. This has been done in several ways, but in general has provided an advantage for holders to participate in a new project. This is interesting, right? It's kind of like a meme token, right? But they're like, hey, we might do something else in the ecosystem to try to give value to this Wait token, right? Is there any credibility behind this? I have no idea who's behind this project. I have no idea, but it is kind of interesting. Thought this might be helpful for some people out there. If you like this content, or you know somebody else who sacrificed for one of these things, remember, this just came out. This just came out on the July 5th. So if you know somebody else who sacrificed for one of these 8 projects, take a second, share this video with them. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to check out the other YouTube channel related to fitness stuff, or Instagram or Twitter. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Peace.